everyone, welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. Let's go with y'all. Go check out my other videos. Check them out. Check them out. Hold up. All right, there we are. Just want to make sure the mic was still on. But first, let's get into it. So this video is going to be kind of an interesting one. I'm sure it is going to receive, some of y'all being like, I completely agree. Some of y'all being like, hey, fuck you, I disagree. And that's perfectly fine. Let's get right into it. So 3 calibers that I personally would not use for self-defense, and why. So you're going to see a common theme, and I'll basically just come out right now and tell y'all this. The common theme is that they are essentially all rounds that can be used in revolvers. So let's get right into it. For starters, I believe everybody was going to guess this was on the list. 22 LR. I actually just did a video disproving a myth about 22 LR, and if you've seen my video on 22 LR for self-defense, then what do you know? Go ahead and check it out if you want to, but I'm not going to go ahead and give into, I'm not going to get into all the details like I did on my video just around 22 LR. But long story short is that a majority of guns chambered in 22 LR are pretty low capacity. I know there are some exceptions, you know what I mean? I know there are 25 round mags for the Ruger 1022, there are AR fucking 22s, whatever. My whole point is simply that it's not, overall though, the average round count capacity for the caliber 22 long rifle is not the highest. Now that's already a problem I have in it with itself due to the fact that it's not that powerful of a round either. Since it's not that powerful of a round, it's not really going to be anything that's going to be super useful if you're not essentially having a swarm of bees effect on it. That's just how I'm viewing it here. There's no reason to, have such an underpowered round and limit yourself to that low of a capacity. It's not going to help you. It's not going to make anything easier for you. If anything, all it's going to do is just really screw you over. It's not the greatest round at all. Not to mention, it is a rimfire cartridge. If you don't know the difference between rimfire and a centerfire cartridge, I can kind of show you. So, this is 9mm, 9x19, 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, however you want to phrase it. It is a centerfire cartridge. Let me take it out the mag for you. See the primer right there in the center? The firing pin strikes the primer. The round goes off. It's essentially the boom button. With that being said, rimfire cartridges are not like that at all. The firing pin strikes the rim of the cartridge instead of the primer at the center like it would with a centerfire cartridge. That often, well, not often, I will say that does lead to reliability issues a good bit of the time. Not all the time. I mean, there are other reliability issues with 22 LR itself. However, it being a rimfire cartridge itself does create a good amount of reliability issues. There's no argument there. So we're dealing with a low amount of power. We're dealing with a low capacity. On top of that, we're dealing with something that has a good amount of malfunctions. I don't see the point of it. Excuse me. Even if we're talking out of a rifle-length barrel, it's not providing that much more power to it than what, not even any more power to it than a lot of these other rounds, let alone all of them, really. But the whole point is simply that it's not adding enough power to even compare to some of these rounds out of their normal handgun barrel length, like 9mm. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to have a 22 for self-defense, in my opinion. Of course, there are some situations like older people, maybe some super small women, whatever, where it just would be easier for them to handle. And look, with that being the case, I believe that any gun is better than no gun. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it won't do the job. I'm saying it doesn't have the greatest chance. Now, with that being said, we're going to move on to number 2. Number 2 is 38 Special. This one, I kind of knew was going to be controversial for some of y'all. So on top of a low capacity, 38 Special just isn't that great of a round. I mean, it is a, iconic round. We can say that without a doubt. It is an iconic round in the same sense that the 22 LR is. A very well-known round that, has been used for self-defense before. As a matter of fact, 38 Special has been used by law enforcement as all of y'all should know. But my whole point, keep in mind, they used it for law enforcement years and years ago, like decades ago. My point is that there is a big reason why they moved away from 38 Special. It didn't pack enough punch to stop some people in their tracks when it needed them. When they needed it to. Had that backwards, when it needed them to. My bad. But my whole point is simply that it just didn't have the power needed in certain situations where the power was needed. Now, of course, at that argument, you would be like, why would you even want a 38 Special? Well, that's kind of what I'm getting to. Low capacity. It has been used for self-defense several times successfully. However, I'll be honest with you guys. Here's something a lot of people don't take into account, and this essentially also goes for 22 LR as well. People are like, "Oh yeah, well if I shoot you, you're still shot." I get that, but if the round doesn't have enough power to it, enough stopping power to it to stop the threat, sometimes these threats are on fucking drugs, bro. Like you don't know how many rounds you're gonna have to put into somebody, and you don't want it to be an extremely underpowered round and have to put more and more and more, and essentially run a higher risk of being out of ammo, and then you're just head on with the threat, hand-to-hand combat type shit. You see what I mean? So, with that being the case, 38 Special kind of, has a similar aspect to it, however, is nowhere near as underpowered as 22 LR. Let me stress that enough. When I say that 38 Special and 22 LR are similar, they're similar in the sense that they tend to have a lower capacity. They just tend to not be the best, or at least they don't have the most stopping power to them. It's the best way to say it. Stopping power is not everything. However, when you lack stopping power and you're lacking capacity, that's when you're starting to, tread into some, okay, this isn't really going to be your most optimal weapon here to defend yourself with. So with that being said, while 38 Special, as I said before, it can do its job, it has done its job successfully several times all throughout history. The police have even used 38 Special. It's still not that powerful of a round to have that low of a capacity. And not to mention, since 38 Special is a revolver round, I understand, there is a pro of the fact that revolvers have much less forms of malfunctions than semi-auto handguns do. However, the malfunctions that revolvers do have take a good bit longer to fix and get right again. So you're dealing with a lot of cons here, all based around choosing just this caliber alone. That's not to say the caliber can't do its job. That's not to say that it's impossible that, oh yeah, you could never defend yourself with a 38 Special. That's simply not the case at all. However, is it your most optimal choice? Probably not. Would I use it? No. Same for 22 LR. Not your most optimal. Sure, it can do its job in some situations, but I mean, if we're going to compare 22 LR to 38 Special, I'll pick 38 Special any day of the year. That's not even an argument. But I think that about wraps up for 38 Special. Number one. Now, and another theme you'll see, because when I thought of this video, I was like, there's, some little hidden jokes in here. Keep in mind, before I even continue on to number one, I do want to point out, if you do want more information about 38 Special, or you're wondering more about my opinions on the round itself and whether or not it's good for self-defense, I also have a video made of that. Go ahead and check it out. Next, number one, 44 Magnum. Now, here's the thing. 44 Magnum sure as fuck has a stopping power. There is no argument there. There has never been an argument there that 44 Magnum does not have the stopping power. It is a beast of a round, to say the least. With that being said, you also have to remember that, keep in mind, guys, I'm stressing this right now because when I did my video about 44 Magnum, go ahead and check that out. People, got real pissed, and they're like, hey, you never, you keep forgetting about 44 Special. And I'm like, bro, we're not talking about 44 Special. We're talking about 44 Magnum. That's why the video is about 44 Magnum. That's why what I'm saying is 44 Magnum, not 44 Special. So don't sit here and be like, oh, yeah, well, you can always use this. That's fucking retarded. Sorry. Hold on. Hate to, break some of your hearts and hurt your feelings there, but that is absolutely stupid. And I'm saying this as somebody who was often told by his teachers that he should be out in the trailers out back. Was I ever? No. But they often told me I should be. Regardless, back to 44 Magnum. It does have the stopping power. There's no doubt about that. However, you oftentimes are dealing with a lack of capacity. Now, that is not as big of a deal when you have the stopping power needed. That's actually one of the main reasons why, I'm okay with like having a 12 gauge shotgun as a defensive weapon, because 12 gauge, the right ammunition, has a lot of power to it. And the capacity itself is not anywhere near as big of an issue as you have that power to, kind of help even it out. 44 Magnum, is similar to that, in that sense alone. When it comes to it, is that while the capacity is oftentimes very, very low, it has a good amount of stopping power to it. It'll do the job. If you shoot someone with 44 Magnum, it'll for sure do the job. So that is, pretty good, right? You'd be thinking, damn, Mark, you're talking pretty high up about 44 Magnum right now. Why would you not use it for self-defense? There's a couple of reasons. As I said before, it is a beast of a round. The recoil on 44 Magnum is not a joke. It takes a lot of training and practicing to, be very good and efficient with 44 Magnum. Jesus, I can English. It takes a good amount of training to be efficient with 44 Magnum. There we are. I don't know why it sounded like I said Magnum. But regardless, sorry, I've been enjoying making some videos for y'all. I know it's been about a week, but whatever. Let's get back into it. The lack of capacity is still an issue in my mind, no matter what. There's the fact that the recoil on 44 Magnum is not a joke. And then last but not least, a lot of people are going to feel that I'm being a little, a little hypocritical about this in a sense, and I'll explain why it's different when I, go into detail. But 44 Magnum itself is a fucking loud ass round. It is a loud fucking round. You will blow your eardrums out when you shoot that bitch inside. There is no argument about that. Overall, if you can use one for self-defense and you've trained with it enough, sure, it'll do a great job, I guess. But would I use it for self-defense? No. I see too many pros here that would make it really inefficient. And that's something I would much rather avoid. But, common theme you'll kind of see is kind of funny. We started off, too underpowered. Okay, too overpowered, really. You know what I mean? Because that's just a loud fucking round. The recoil on it is insane. Let's ignore the cost of ammo, because 44 Magnum ammo is not cheap by any standard. It's definitely not the cost of 22 LR, just to say the least, guys. But those are three calibers I would not use for self-defense. Those are the reasons why. If you guys have any thoughts below on what calibers you wouldn't use for self-defense and why, comment them down below. But with that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me, the 22 LR, yeah, cheap round, fun to shoot, not that great for self-defense. I'm not going to use it. You going to use it? Hopefully not. 38 special, okay, it's an okay round. It has done the job for self-defense. Not the best. I'm not going to use it. I'm looking for, better. If you agree with me, you know what I'm saying? 44 Magnum can do the job, but still lacking in a lot of other ways. So we're going to look for better, you know what I mean? That's just simply what it is. If you agree with me on whether or not you would use these calibers for self-defense, make sure to check out all my other videos. I'll make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.